Today, I have the honor of having Shaneice with me. Shaneice, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell them what you do.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Shaneice Miller Thomas, and I am super duper excited to be here with the incredible Paul tonight. I always have a good time chatting it up with him, so I'm really excited to be here tonight. Paul and I met at church, and we have just hit it off. I started as, being a member of one of his small groups, and he's kind of been low-key mentoring me. He doesn't really know that. He's been kind of mentoring me. Every time I talk to him, I try to gain some nuggets and wisdom from him. But I am a purpose coach, and I am also a speaker. So I'm really excited tonight for this conversation.
Awesome. Well, it's news to me that I'm mentoring you. I feel like I get a lot out of every conversation with you. So definitely a two-way street there. That's awesome. So you said you're a purpose coach and you're a speaker. So which one did you start off with first, or did you kind of jump into both at the same time?
Well, I've always been someone who loved to talk. So I guess I kind of would say speaker first, but not under that same title. I was a teacher. So I was always in the mode of teaching people, which now I'm just basically doing that under a different title. So I call it a coach, but still, teaching people and speaking whenever I have the opportunity to share whatever God puts on my heart.
That's awesome. That's super cool. So how long did you teach for?
I was a third grade teacher for about 4 years. And then because I didn't really know who I was as a person, I let somebody talk me into going into administration. So then I became an assistant principal for another 4 or 5 years after that, before I decided to exit from the education profession.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss third grade teaching, or are you had enough of that?
Well, the difference now is that I actually have people that pay me to talk to them.
Yeah.
So like the kids, they're forced to be there. These people are like, hey, will you teach me something? So I always have loved education, and I love children. So I do miss the trends. I told my daughter I used to stay up on all the cool stuff, but now that I'm not in school anymore, I don't really know what the cool stuff is anymore. So I do miss that part of kind of being at the pulse of the next generation.
Yeah, I could totally see you making TikToks at your class. I see some teachers do that. I think that's awesome. I could see that. That's really fun. So with the speaking, and we'll talk more about that transition, because I know you said you were a third grade teacher, you moved to administration, and now you're doing more speaking and coaching. Was it kind of was a fluid transition, or kind of how did you go from teaching to administration to where you are now?
Well, there were a lot of things that happened in between that. One of them was my husband's job got relocated. I'm originally from North Carolina. So my husband's job got relocated to Missouri. And at that point, I was just kind of like, I was pregnant and I wanted to stay home. So I decided to be a stay-at-home mom for a little while. And then I went back into education and then made my exit again. And then I had a friend who asked me, hey, would you do a website for me? Because I was just talking about a hobby that I had at the time of making jewelry, and I was putting stuff online. And so I ended up getting into marketing. I became a whole marketing consultant and had a whole marketing business. At one point, I was helping small business people with their websites and with their social media. And it was just a creative outlet for me. It was just something to do, because I felt like my mind and my brain were just starting to become stale. So from there, I was just like, I don't want to do this long term. It's not a passion for me. So let me figure out what my purpose is. Like, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And in finding my purpose, that became my business, was to help other people find their purpose. Like, hey, if I feel this way, there have to be other people who also are like, well, what is it that I'm really supposed to be doing with my life, so I don't just waste it being alive and not really living? Because at one point I just felt like I'm just alive. I'm just surviving here. I went through a program that helped me address some of the past trauma that I had. All the stuff people, you get on the couch and they're like, tell me what happened in your childhood. So I kind of went through something like that, but it was a group setting. And that set me on the trajectory to say, oh, well, what this person is doing, what they're teaching me, I want to model after that, because she was also a coach and a speaker. And I started a small group at church. And with that, it was like the group was over and people were like, we want more. Why is this over? And I'm like, because that's all we were supposed to do is 6 weeks done. They're like, but what do we do now? So because of that, that helped me to make that big leap. I wasn't really ready to start a group or start coaching at that point, but it was kind of, fly the plane and build it at the same time. So I was like, well, okay, God, here we go. Let's put the wings on and let's go for it. So that is how I made that transition. So now I have an online course and I'm doing some group coaching and one-on-one coaching.
Awesome. That's so exciting. I like how you talked about the small groups too, because that's a pretty big part of my story too. That's how we met as well.
Yeah.
Because I was reached out to do a small group and I did not want to lead a small group the first time.
And I didn't want to be a part of your small group.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
Yeah, my mentor was like, hey, I need you to be a part of this group. And I'm like, but I'm already leading a group and it's on Friday nights and I don't really want to do a group. But because I am teachable, and a lifelong learner, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And it has changed my life, literally. Like that small group really helped me take that next step.
Yeah, it's powerful. Yeah, so for everyone listening, the small group we did was over growing together. I know I have a previous podcast that I talked about personal growth, and I kind of hinted on one of the chapters and stuff we go through in the first week on intentionality, do it now, which I remember that was one of the catchphrases you took away right away.
Yes.
They kept reminding us throughout the whole session. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I still use that to this day. I think about it every time I go in to do laundry and I'm like, this has changed my life. Do it now. Like I could put these clothes away later, or I could just do it now. And it's not on my mind every time I walk by the laundry room.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is like a second Bible to me. I loved it.
Yeah, it's powerful. So talk a little bit more about the course you developed. Like what platform is that on? How did you go about developing a course?
Well, my mentor had already started doing an online academy. And so the platform that she was using was called Thinkific. And they actually have like a free version. And then, you can get upgrades for whatever other features you'd like to add. But I started out with the free version. And it was another one of those build a plane while it's in the sky. I really didn't know what I was doing. They had like some short little tutorials of how to upload your information. So I always loved doing PowerPoints. And I used Canva to do my PowerPoints and use their video. They also have like a video where you can, put your little face in the corner and teach your lesson at the same time. So I did that and then just kind of prayed to God and asked what kind of assignments to add and what was important to add. So being a former teacher, I love alliteration, which is everything begins with the same letter.
Yes.
So I came up with the practice, there's a place for them to practice, which is the lesson. And then I came up with prayer. There's a prayer and affirmation every week with every lesson. There's praise and worship because we need to fill ourselves up, with that. Then there's also a time to pause, like time to reflect, which was another part of the 15 laws that was really good, taking that time to reflect. And we don't do that often enough, like celebrate your wins. What is something that you did well this week? So just used some of those things and then just uploaded it. And honestly, the course was not even done. I just kind of like had an outline and I was working on it in the background, but I wasn't like ready to present it to the world yet. I was still kind of, I was casually working on it. And it was like, God said, pedal to the metal. And I just went full steam ahead. And there were times where, like I'd be working on it to get it uploaded before we would do the lesson, but God always provided. He always made a way. And the way that I would do it was have everything done. But all along the way, there were pieces he wanted me to include in that lesson that I had not had access to yet. So I could have built something, but it would have been my outline and not his agenda. So I always try to build my life that way. This is my outline, but God, it's your agenda. What is it that you would have me to do?
Yeah, no, that's powerful. It reminds me of the verse, hopefully I don't butcher it, like a man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps.
Right.
So I think that's exactly what you're saying, that you had an outline, you had what you wanted to do, but there's a lot of stuff that God just kept bringing in. It's like, I want to do this and this and this, and it just came together at the right time.
It did. It really did. And I'm doing the same thing. There are 4 steps in the program. It's called the Pathway to Purpose. And there are 4 steps in that program. And the first one is to process your past. So until you can even get to understanding what your purpose is, we got to figure out what are the roadblocks, what are the things that are keeping you from really being your best self.
Yeah.
And most of us have not had a place or a space where we can talk about the stuff. You know, just someone who can listen, and also having the support of a group coaching situation was really good, because then, you know, like, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that this has happened to. And then the step 2, I have a group who just graduated from step 1. So they're getting ready to go into step 2. Nice. And that's going to be a study of the invaluable laws of growth, but also some assessments and things. It's going to be pursue your possibilities.
Wow.
So that's step 2. Step 3 is where we plan your purpose. You see all these start with P.
Yeah,
I have a thing for alliteration. It's actually how I made it through college, because my brain was so damaged, and I didn't realize this, from just trauma, from just things that impact and impair your brain, that your processing actually becomes dysfunctional. I use the example, like, if you take a hammer and you hit your laptop with the hammer, then it's not going to have the same output. Something has damaged that laptop. And that was kind of what had happened to my brain. I had done lots of things to help heal my spirit, but I had not physically done anything for my natural mind. So that's one of the things that we go through in that first piece, is just helping people to heal their brain by addressing, you know, the things that go on in our mind, and how we process information, and why we process information the way that we do. Step 3 is going to be plan your purpose. So this is where you actually get into the timelines and the targets and the goals, and do I need a mentor? Do I need an internship? And figuring out what you want to do. And I call step 4, step forever. Like you're mine forever. You'll never leave this group. But step forever is perfect your purpose. So this is revisiting, how are things going? Is this a place where you feel like you're able to use your gifts, your talents? Is there something I need to improve? Maybe I need to change. And we never reach that point. And that purpose can change. I always thought there was one thing I was supposed to do with my life. I wasn't going to cry tonight. I always thought there was one thing I was supposed to do with my life, and that was teaching, because that's what I went to school for. But when you tie your purpose to your profession, when that profession ended, I felt like I didn't have a purpose anymore. I was like, well, who am I now? What is it that I'm supposed to do with my life? I've invested all of this time and money and energy into this thing. Who am I? What am I going to do when someone comes up to me and they say, well, what do you do? I'm just going to say I'm a stay-at-home mom. Does that have a purpose? You know, so your profession could be your purpose, but it doesn't always have to be tied to that. It could just be what you do. It's not necessarily who you are.
Wow, that's a bar right there.
So that was the epiphany for me. Like, it's not just about what I do, but it's about who I am. Who am I as a person?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the gist of where the program is going. All of that sounds really good. It's not built yet. Again, I have an outline that sounds really great. God might take me in a completely different direction, but I'm learning to be flexible with God, because I don't have to have everything done to still get something accomplished. Ooh, that was a good one. I need to write it down.
Yeah, that's good. That is really good. Wow. Don't have to have everything done to be accomplished. That's wow. And I really like what you talked about with, sometimes people have their purpose wrapped up in their career, their profession. And I feel like I see a lot of times I'm helping people find a new job, and if they're laid off, one of the first things they say is like they don't really know who they are anymore, because everything that they've been doing, if they've been at a company 10, 15, 20 years, they're like, who am I? Everything I put my heart and soul into this company, and now it's all gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So what would you say to some, or what are the typical clients that come in? Are they more so people who kind of know their purpose and they're trying to fine tune it, or they just have no idea? Like, what kind of range of people do you work with?
It really is from one extreme to the other, where some people are like, I might know my purpose. I feel like I know my purpose, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who are like, I have absolutely no idea what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. But most people, I hear two words often whenever I have people fill out, like their initial form, their initial intake form. And two words that kept coming up was clarity and stuck. Like people that feel stuck, they're like, I just, feel like I should be doing more with my life, but I don't know. I'm just in this, on this hamster wheel every day. I'm just doing the same thing, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything that matters. Or people who are like, I think I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not sure. I don't have clarity. I don't have focus. Yeah. So that's kind of the gamut or the range of people that come, and they're all ages from 20s all the way up to, I think some of my clients are in their 60s. They're much older than me. Like my whole group was older than me this last time, like 5 women, they were all much older than I won't say much. Sorry, guys. They're all my elders.
Seasoned.
Yes.
No, that's powerful. I think that says something, because I feel like a lot of times we feel like age equates to wisdom, or experience equates to wisdom.
Right.
But what you see and what I see is that it's not just the age or experiences, learning from those experiences, applying what you learn as well. So you can learn something and not apply it, and it's not going to help you. Absolutely.
One thing that the Holy Spirit had impressed upon me one day, because I'm a person who was all about knowledge and information and facts. I want to know things. But what the Holy Spirit had said to me was, knowledge without truth is just information. And I went, whoa, what do you mean by that? It's like, there are lots of people that know things. Like there are people who can say they know God, but do they really have the truth of who God is?
Wow.
I was like, okay, tell me more. So I always say that I know nothing. And it's kind of a mantra from the group that I was a part of, to say that I know nothing, because it keeps you in a place of humility. And honestly, everything that we know, we have learned. I don't know how to tie my shoe. I learned to tie my shoe. I know that my name is Shaneice because I've learned that that's my name. We've seen people who live their whole life, and they're like, what? These aren't my real parents.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's
like true. What? I grew up in where? So everything that we know, we have learned, and the application is the most important part of that knowledge. Like you said, being able to apply what you know.
I want to make sure people know how to connect with you. I know you talk about your podcast, talk about your website, socials, however people can connect with you.
Yes. And ironically, I used to do websites, but I have not done a website for myself yet. I have not been released to do a website just yet, because I'm just not ready to put everything out there, but it doesn't mean people can't still contact me. All of my social and all of my contact information people can find at linktr.ee/the-purpose-project-co. So Linktree, the Purpose Project Company, CO.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put the link in this podcast as well. Well, it's been a joy talking with you. I always get so much talking with you. I love the energy you bring. It just, the joy of the Lord just comes out of you every time we talk. It's just, it's amazing.
Thank you. I love every conversation that we have. I always grow, and I'm always encouraged by all that you're doing. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And for everyone else listening, thanks for listening to another episode of Incredible Paul Podcast, and have a good rest of your day.